allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I will call the school board meeting of District 544 to order. And clerk, will you take roll, please?
Certainly. Kirby Anderson.
Here.
Natalie Knudsen.
Here.
Melanie Coleman.
Present.
Matthew Lemke.
Here.
Missy Hermes. Present. Stephen Biggessa.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve our agenda?
So moved.
On a second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Our agenda is approved. So we have a resolution on acknowledgements. Thank you to Eric Nelson from Fergus Home and Hardware for their donation to the food class at Kennedy Secondary School. Also, thank you to Stenerson Lumber for their donation to the woodworking program at Kennedy Secondary School. Could someone offer that resolution for adoption?
I'll offer the resolution and move for its adoption.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Clerk, will you take roll?
Stephen Biggessa.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
Melanie Coleman.
Present. Yes.
Matthew Lemke.
Yes. You're gonna pull a present?
Yes, the resolution is adopted.
You guys are awake.
All right, we're gonna head into our reports, and tonight we'll start our reports with principal, or high school principal, Mark Anderson.
No, you don't have to open it. Sorry.
Thank you for letting me go first. On my way to American Indian meeting tonight. Glad Scott Meldau, I'm excited for Advanced Foods. They're gonna use those grills. He made sure he invited me when he's getting those out and getting those going. So, as you know, we talked about attendance. Focus is making sure kids are in the building, present. So we've been hyper-focused on that. So robocalls go out, and then I get to make phone calls at night to the kids who are in our MERS data. We're using the same tracking thing the ALC has used in the past, so it's all highlighted. Pablo helped me make sure I got it all configured right and put the formulas in. So what I have found is when people know that you're getting a phone call from Fergus Falls Public Schools, specifically the high school principal, they don't tend to answer the phone. But what I have found is they do text, and they text really quickly when you send a message. So I've been texting parents and been getting instant feedback almost within 5 minutes of concerns or things, and we've been able to communicate with parents, so hopefully that'll help us out. One of the things that I noticed tonight is we have 460 kids, I think it was, that have already had an excused absence, unexcused absence, or a tardy at this point. So that would be over half of our building has not been present for something at some point not related to an activity. We hired awesome staff. We have new tremendous staff that we hired is doing a phenomenal job. Jumped right in, doing a lot of support with homecoming this week. Came up with a couple of great ideas for us to try this year. Obviously it is homecoming week. Tonight is coronation, so hence we'll probably have a full house here in about an hour with people starting to come. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to park about 4 or 5 blocks away and walk back into the building after my meeting. But that'll be all right. It'll be nice. The kids practiced today. They were out with a couple teachers getting it ready, so it'll be excited to see what happens tonight and who becomes our homecoming king and queen. Otter Time has been really going really well, as has the schedule. Heard a lot of great things about both of them. Seeing a lot of kids getting some homework done, doing some opportunities with SEL. We haven't hit that hard yet. We just had one page activity that's due actually today. And then we start career and college readiness next week. So the students will get their first opportunity in what's next after high school. The seniors get to meet with the counselors next Wednesday, and this one's focused on college. But we have a checklist that goes out next Monday also for kids to decide if I'm going to college, what are the things I need to make sure I complete? If I'm going to work, what are the things I need to complete? And if I'm going to the military, what are the items I need to sign or make sure I have taken care of also? It's about 4 pages long. I'm sure they're going to be really excited when they see it next Monday. But the goal is when they leave us that they're prepared for what's next after high school. We will be having 2 students on DACRAC. I have been able to connect with one and offered him the position, and he said yes. And I have one young lady who's a senior who I have not been able to track down. She's busy. She's been in the building, but I'll get her tomorrow, and I'm guessing she will also say yes. So we'll have two student voices on DACRAC moving forward. And the junior will have a 2-year term and will complete his final year as a senior the next year. We have already looked at registration for this upcoming school year for next year, and already put out the forms on courses and drops and ads and things like that. So trying to get ahead of the game, get that information out to the teachers and the course book completed before we leave for winter break. And that'll be a task itself. So we'll work on that piece. The ALC is off to a great start, taking things really slow. Students are showing a lot of pride in the school and its image. Several students have taken leadership roles, which is a big deal over there. They're starting to own the space and what's going on. And they have a school advisory board that they meet and have continued to meet on a weekly basis. And they have daily activities centered around leadership, team building, academics, and self-care. So attendance also is something Carrie's working on over there this year. So she's making those contacts and trying out the Google Voice that I use and her own device to do that too, to connect with families, to get them in the building. The IQ Academy, Cheryl and Carla, both counselors, and Ryan Johnson have been in the media center for the first 2.5 weeks. So something different. High school kids used to have to be in the media center and then they'd find their way out of the media center. Only seniors who have a 3.0 are allowed to get out of the media center if they're in IQ. What we found and our data showed that when kids weren't present in space, they didn't pass class or didn't do very well. And that ended up hurting them in a transcript or after graduation or even to graduate. So a few kids aren't real happy with me right now, but they're doing much better and we're not seeing quite as many failures and poor grades. The 4 core middle school teachers are doing middle school homerooms by grade level on Monday mornings to get the students off to a good start and incorporating the 7 mindsets. The high school will be doing monthly meetings also and going through the 7 mindsets, the things they'll be working on. Anything is possible, passion first, we are connected, 100% accountable, attitude and gratitude, live to give, the time is now, and IQ social event for Como Zoo is Friday, October 13th. Those are my reports for the 3 buildings. Any questions?
Any questions?
I'm missing
So am I.
the APAC meeting tonight, so they're not all gonna be on school board meeting nights, right?
It's the only Monday they had available, so I may have to switch those up. I have it reserved. I might be able to flip into a 3rd week here and there. Totally spaced that one off when I was looking at them. I wasn't doing a very good job of paying attention on that one.
Okay.
I'll work to see if I can make that change.
Okay, thanks.
Any other questions? All right, thanks.
All right, thank you.
All right, our next report will be by Ashley Sands and Michaela Pash regarding the music trip request to Nashville in March.
Thank you for having us. My name is Ashley Sands. I'm one of the high school choir teachers. I have Michaela Pash with me. She's our high school band director, and I invite her to jump in anytime I miss something. As you know, every other year we try to travel with our music groups and our juniors and seniors. This year we are looking at a trip to Nashville and Memphis from March 13th through the 18th. The great thing about those dates is that students would only miss 1 full day of school and potentially part of another day. We would leave on a Wednesday afternoon. Thursday and Friday there's no school for students, and then we would get back Monday partway through the day, so they'd be gone all of Monday. So the timing works out really well in terms of not having to miss a lot of class. This would be open to all music students who are in our 4 audition ensembles, or juniors and seniors who are in any of our music ensembles. We have 3 fundraisers planned for our students. We have the frozen food sales that we do every year. We do the service food receipt program, and then students have the opportunity to work concessions to earn money for their accounts as well. And we are going through the company performance tours. We used them for our Chicago trip for marching band this summer, and we had a really great experience. Everything was really well planned, well organized, and we really liked it. So we're gonna try to go with them again. I included a list of some of the things that we're hoping to do. Something that was really important to us this time around was that our students perform. The last few trips they have not been performing, but as a department, we feel like it's really important and really valuable, and if we're gonna take our kids somewhere, then they should be, for music, then they should be performing. So they will have performance opportunities while we're in Nashville. Those, we're still working on figuring out what those are. They will also have a chance to have master classes with the band, choir, and orchestra at a university in Tennessee. So that's another experience that they'll be able to have. They're gonna visit a whole bunch of different historical places, see some live music. We're excited about taking them to the Grand Ole Opry and the Nashville Symphony Orchestra. And then we have one day in Memphis on our way back. So it looks like it's gonna shake out to be a really rich experience for them with a lot of opportunities. And I also included a sample itinerary that we've been sent. Obviously that could change slightly, but it lays out kind of what we're hoping to do. Do you have any questions for me?
Any questions for Ashley?
I do. So you maybe already know what I'm gonna ask about, since you talked, it does sound like a really valuable experience, but I'm wondering about the value of going to a saloon.
Okay, yep, I can talk to you about that. So that, it's just called a saloon. It's a family-friendly place, and basically you go there for lunch, and then they invite everybody onto the dance floor and they teach line dancing. It's not, I don't think there's any sort of, what's the word? I don't think there's any sort of like, gonna be any sort of historical inappropriateness that our kids would see. I actually had a friend who teaches in Monaga just take her band to the exact same place last year and said it was
Okay.
one of the highlights of the trip.
Okay.
So,
And then my other question is, in other years, there has been a conflict between the music trip and the skating show.
yes.
And since it's the juniors and seniors, often it's their last year that they're participating in skating, and I'm just wondering if that is already scheduled and whether you know if that's gonna happen.
That's a great question. I've had a couple of skaters talk to me already, because same thing, they know it's right around that time. When we were looking at dates with Mr. Anderson, our goal was to have students miss the least amount of school possible. And this week is gonna be the obvious choice. We also were trying not to hit, with our new schedule, we don't wanna, missing a day is like missing a day and a half in the old schedule. So, we're trying to get it at a sweet spot where it's right into that third trimester, and not missing finals in the second trimester. So I don't know right now what the skating show dates are. It probably is around the same time. So,
It doesn't just involve skating, people in skating, but also usually people that play hockey are often in that as
Sure.
well.
yeah, I think, we can't work around absolutely everything, and I know that students do have to make tough choices sometimes. So I wish that we could. I don't know if you have suggestions on how to work around things like that. I just don't know. Like I said, Mr. Anderson looked at dates with us, and this is what's gonna get us to not have students miss as much school. I really wish we could work around everything.
When was the last time the music department looked at doing this trip during the summer, not during school?
That's a great question. I don't know the answer to that question.
I was just listening to Mr. Anderson say he's hyper-focused on attendance.
Yep.
And I too am hyper-focused on that. And I think, generously you could say a day and a half, but the kids are gonna get back and probably not. So that's 2 days of school. And I will not be voting in favor of this because I want to be consistent with my message about school attendance.
Sure.
Part of what concerns me is that this is not an equal opportunity when it costs $1,150. It's not all of our students are able to go.
Can I speak to that?
Well, you're gonna do fundraisers.
We are, yep.
Yeah.
We
but,
also-
but historically, the kids that would get free and reduced educational benefits are not the kids that are in the music and band programs. And so I would love to see us remove the disparity. And because I know that when that many kids are gone from the school, the class presentations get minimized. And so it doesn't just take up to 125 kids out of school, it also affects those that would generally be left behind. But, okay, so.
So I'm going to speak to both of the things that you asked. First of all, I don't know the answer to your question about the summer. Off the top of my head, my concern would be that we would have less student participation because they are very involved with other things, and a lot of them have jobs in the summer. We saw that with the marching band trip. We still had good attendance, but a lot of kids who I think would have traveled did not, because they had summer stuff going on. It's just separate from school stuff. So I think there would be conflicts either way. We have the same concerns about making the trip affordable, and we did so much research on different locations to go. Right now, prices are outrageous. Inflation is, the price of a bus and bus drivers to go anywhere is ridiculous. This is the most affordable trip that we were able to find that we felt like would be a great opportunity for our students. We also, Ms. Pash and I, we've spoken about this very issue. We don't want to have, students who have to not attend because of their inability to pay. So another thing that we would be prepared to do, a couple of things. Number one would be to ask our boosters to kick in for those students who might need a little extra help. Number two, in our student accounts at school, sometimes, people will raise funds for their accounts and then not end up going on the trip, so we have a little bit of extra money in there. Or people from the community will turn in receipts that aren't tied to any specific student. So we do have some extra funds available that we can put towards students if they let us know that the need is there. So I have this, we have had this conversation. We want this to be something that all students can attend. I would also love if there was a way, I haven't had this conversation with Mr. Anderson yet, but if there was a way that other entities could get involved in that, because obviously we can't ask our boosters to pay a ton of, we just don't have a ton of money to put towards it. But I would love, and we're happy to reach out to other organizations as well to see if they can put money towards students as well. Because we have the same concerns. I don't want any student to not be able to go because they can't afford it if they want to go.
And my point is that just the base of kids in choir and band typically are your middle and upper class kids. So even if you're helping pay for middle and upper class kids, we're still, just because of the other dynamics, not make it, it's just not an equal opportunity. So that's my point. Not that people in the community would chip in. Music boosters have proven to be very generous,
Right.
and I appreciate that. But so I wanted my message to be very clear. I've spoken in our work sessions for years about my concern about missing, about this number of students missing school and the detrimental effect on the remainder of the students, and I just thought I would bring it forward just a little more vocally this time.
Okay, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Can I just ask a question on just the process in the sense of, when you guys are planning this trip, are you doing it this fall that you started, or do you start it in the springtime?
We as a department we started in the springtime with collecting different, different proposals. We ask, here's our ballpark price, can you send us some destinations that might be good for us? And then we actually reach out to a bunch of different companies, and then we kind of see what they put forward, and then we go from there. So it's a long process for us.
Okay.
If you're getting at what the ideal timeline would be,
Yes.
we would love to have it done in the spring so that we can let families know further in advance in the future. That would be our goal, but last spring was a bit chaotic, getting ready for schedule changes and all of that type of stuff. Revisiting what our curriculum is gonna look like, all of that type of stuff. So our time had to be devoted there.
I will also
instead
say
of-
that Ms. Pash and I are fairly new to the department and see a lot of things that we want to continue to make better as we go through this process. So I would actually hope for this spring to be able to come to you with a proposal for 2 years from now, so that students know what they're getting into and can fundraise for basically 2 full years. That's my goal for you.
For a summer trip?
Potentially. That's something we'll have to talk with Mr. Anderson about. He's not here anymore.
Well, and I agree with Mr. Anderson isn't here, so I'm just thinking that as we're looking at the calendar or preparing the calendar, if we know what's coming up, I have the same sentiments as Melanie does, is that sometimes the missing of school days, it does add up. So, in the amount of the kids, and there is a change, it just happens.
Yep.
But maybe maybe we schedule that, do something more of the scheduling. If this is that important that we do this, then maybe we have to do a scheduling so we're not missing, because there is a something, I mean, there is a lack that happens during the school day for the students that are here. I mean, the kids that are going are having their experience, but the students that are here, it does change the education that's happening in the high school. So I think if it's that important that we continue the process or the precedent that we have been doing, then I think we should look at it also within our setting the calendar, so that we can even make it less
That'd be
of an
great.
impact on
We would love
on
that.
students.
Yeah.
So.
We would love if our students didn't have to miss
After
any
we've
school.
struggled so greatly with the calendar, you can think we can squeak out 2
Well,
more
this
days?
is 2 years from now.
This is 2 years from now.
Yeah, you'll be off the board.
No,
So.
no. What I'm saying is this, is I'm saying that if it's
Matt.
something that is important, that we feel that there's an educational reason that we're doing it, then overall, when you're looking at the calendar and putting the calendar together, and the kids, if we don't want students to be missing,
Yeah.
then we extend out, maybe they have a spring break.
You know, and
Quote,
with
unquote.
this, with this trip in
During that time.
particular, the full school day that they would be missing would be the 18th, that Monday.
Yeah.
We can push for not leaving until 4 o'clock on the 13th. And then that would be the only day that, because they are gonna get back around 1 o'clock on that Monday, which should be plenty of time for them to go home and rest for the afternoon, and their expectation will be that they're in class on Tuesday. They will know that before they leave. So, I mean, we can just say that that has to happen, that we don't leave until 4 o'clock on the 13th, 4 o'clock or later. It gets us to Nashville maybe an hour or two later than we would have. That's fine, we can work with that, we're driving overnight anyways, right? And then they would just miss school on the 18th. In previous years, they've missed multiple days, so we're really trying to keep it to a minimum.
Well,
can
I
respect
know,
that.
I had a child that went on that Memphis trip a few years ago, and it was a fantastic experience
Great.
for him.
I think it will be.
And also, I mean, it's, you know, we talk about attendance and this, to me, I don't see this as missing school. There's some drive time and whatnot, but, and it happens to be a fun experience, but that doesn't mean that this is not educational. Could be the only chance some of these kids get to go, whether they work hard and fundraise or they get a little help from boosters.
There is
I don't know, I disagree that it's not being in school. It's an educational experience, just like going to the Capitol, it's the same thing.
Just like driving the combine is, right? But that is not excused.
But it's not 1918 anymore, you know,
Right.
we're not excusing kids to go harvest, like, well, I guess some of them are, I
Okay,
suppose, but.
But on your
but
argument that it's educational, it's educational.
It is educational, because it's something that's
drive the
sponsored,
combine.
you know, it's through the school, it has to do with the music curriculum for kids that are interested enough to raise the kind of money to go. Yeah, I think I'm gonna vote for it, I mean, I think these trips are a great thing.
Well, you can do it both ways. You can push the attendance button by saying if any of the music students have more than X amount of unexcused absences, they're not eligible to go to.
Well,
Absolutely.
yeah, like they do for
Or
sports, like,
excuse
or
me.
grades wise, you know,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
It could be a thing as
I
well.
support that.
Mhm.
I think it would be worth considering also, like, the relationship between athletics and school too. Like, and I'm not saying that it's not worth being gone to go to a soccer game or something. I'm not saying like oust athletics at all. But this is the one, like, thing that we're asking for outside, whereas athletics, like, we see that every day in our classes. Like, when they're gone, and I've got a band of 45 and all of a sudden it's down to 20 because they're all gone.
Or when a team goes to the state tournament and the
Yeah.
entire school goes, that changes curriculum as
And
well. And it's,
I just think that's worth considering, that as you were talking about attendance, which I agree, it's really important for students to be in school. But I think that is a valid part of that conversation that should be talked about as well. You know, what are the reasons that students miss school? And what are, like, the reasons that you're okay with them missing school? What constitutes being excused? Like, you know, I feel like that is that's a part of the conversation that should be there.
That's a good point.
Any other questions for Ashley?
Thank you.
All right,
you.
thank you. Okay, then we'll move on to one of our elementary principals, Scott Colbeck.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Today was the 15th day of school. So there's a lot of teaching of routines going on during our first 3 weeks of school, and we continue that. I would say that when you're teaching 5 and 6 and 7-year-olds, some of the things that we are saying to them today, it's very appropriate to be saying to them on the last day of school as well. That's just what it's like teaching really, really young kids. But we're off to a good start. 15 days. We had a little 10th day fun over at McKinley last week. I won't get into that. Otter Pride Night. I showed up for Otter Pride Night. That's always a hit, and it's fun to see so many of our youngest kids from McKinley and Adams coming to Otter Pride Night and participating in that. So again, thank you to Matt Lemke for leading that effort. And kudos to Mrs. Rund for supervising the middle school playground during the night of Otter Pride Night. So, Mrs. Rund, thanks for taking one for the team and being out there with Mr. Steinbrenner. Oh yeah, I was there too. I forgot about that. So, I was at a local restaurant last Thursday evening. I saw a 9th grader on the football team who I hadn't seen since, ages and ages ago. And I asked him how it's going, and he told me that he scored his first varsity touchdown on Friday night. And I said, I was there, but I wasn't there. I said, so congratulations. I wish I could have seen it. But we do think we prevented probably 3 fights, and there were about 137 fewer cuss words because of our presence there. That's how we measured our effectiveness. All right, enough of that. I talk about this all the time, MAP testing. It's kind of a big undertaking, so we started with MAP testing here today with our 1st and 2nd graders at McKinley and Adams. And then we will do our MAP testing next week for our kindergartners. We test 3 times a year, fall, winter, spring. There is a book fair going on right now that started at 3 o'clock at McKinley School. So thank you to our McKinley teachers for their effort in putting on a book fair. I had a chance to swing by just a little bit. There's some popcorn there, face painting, and just a lot of happy people at the book fair. There will be a book fair later this school year at Adams School as well. Last week I had some fun. I visited every kindergarten classroom to read a story to them. So I had my favorites, and that's just a good way for me to get into every classroom. And then I always ask the kids in all 9 kindergarten classrooms, I say, who am I? Am I the king? Am I the president? Am I the principal? Am I the bus driver? Am I the cook? And for the most part, they get it right. A few kids aren't always sure who I am. In the past couple years, we've had a guest artist come and teach art lessons to elementary school kids. And again, now this year, Sarah Ronovic, she's a local artist, and she's going to come and teach art lessons. We're going to focus right now on getting her through all of the first and second grade classrooms, and that's going to happen also during the first week of October. So she's a big hit with our students and our staff. I have so far this year made what I call 3 formal classroom visits, and I have 43 more to go this year, so I'm getting a head start on that. I have mentioned to our teachers that right now when I get into the classrooms, I really enjoy observing their ELA, English Language Arts lessons, which this year focuses on what you've heard before, right? UFLI and Haggerty Phonemic Awareness. So I've observed 3 lessons so far, and it's been centered around some of our new curriculum, and that's going well. In fact, on the first day of school at Adams, I was at Adams on the first day of school, and popped into a few first grade classrooms, and I saw 2 first grade teachers on the very first day of school teaching a 15 to 20 minute phonemic awareness lesson. So good for those teachers for getting at that right away. Today at Adams School was the first day of JAWS. So that's our recess running program. So a special thank you to Mr. Meyer. He is maybe starting to see some of the benefits. He's got some pretty good cross-country teams going on right now, and I think he knows some of those kids from when they were running laps on the Adams playground years ago. So he does a nice job of finding volunteers to come on in and help what we call punch cards as kids run their laps. We are planning to attend the homecoming parade. Every year we walk to the parade and then we bus back. So even our littlest kids at McKinley walk downtown to the parade and we bus them all back. In fact, that's when we are going to teach. There's some new legislation that we need to be teaching all kids in grades K through 8 crosswalk and pedestrian safety. So we're just going to embed that into that walk and have some conversations with the kids. Our kindergartners are going to the fire station like they do every year. That's coming up on October 11th. That's always a fun day. We're sending 3 classes at a time at 3 different times. So all 9 of our kindergarten classrooms will get there. We had our first PTO meeting of the school year last week. Happy to say I think it was the largest turnout I've ever seen at a PTO meeting. Not including 2 principals and maybe 3 or 4 teachers. I think there were 14 moms there, 14. So that was pretty great. Lastly, just want to maybe plant a seed with everybody in the room. So we have some big decisions to make for next year. We're reconfiguring again. There's talk of making McKinley and Adams into a couple elementary schools that are grades 1, 2, and 3. And I know tonight at a work session, I believe you're going to be talking a little bit about a playground out at Lincoln. But I do think at some point we're going to need to have a conversation about the playground at McKinley. Mud Pie Park is beautiful and it's awesome. And it has served a purpose for when we put kindergarten and preschool at McKinley. But when McKinley had kids that were older than preschool and kindergarten and first grade, they had an open field to play ball and soccer and football and you name it. So if you drive by Adams School, you'll see some kids playing on the playground equipment and some kids out on the green space playing soccer, etc. We don't have that space to play soccer, etc. at McKinley right now. So planting a seed, I think it's an important conversation that we're going to need to have. And with that seed planted, that's what I have for you tonight. And I will entertain any questions from the board.
Any questions for Mr. Golbeck?
I don't have one.
Just on the map testing itself, those test results and stuff, they follow the student so that teachers the next year get them and then the year after and then so they kind of.
Absolutely historical. You can go back and see how they did in K and 1 and 2. You can see 9 scores.
Sure.
By the time they get to 3rd grade, they're not map testing anymore, but you
Yeah,
can.
correct.
Mhm.
But they can see it and
Mhm.
see if it's, okay.
Great, thanks.
Mhm.
Okay, then we will move on to our other elementary principal, Cindy Rund.
All right, good evening. I will confess that I missed the last meeting because I had shifted to school time and the last school board meeting that we reported at was still on summertime, so I was working that morning, but I wasn't where I was supposed to be, so it's good to see you again. I got grief from my colleagues, just to. So at that meeting, I just wanted to, what was on my agenda was to just acknowledge the summer learning opportunities that our district does really, really well. And Otter Adventures was well attended throughout the summer. And extended school year is all set up for students who qualify for those needed interventions for continuity. And then also our partnership with the public library. Those are three really big things that happen for our students throughout the summer. So just big kudos to all the teaching staff that remain involved in those programs through the summer months. We've had a lot of questions about the flagpole at Cleveland, and the old flagpole was taken out and the brand new one was installed last week. There was a lot of activity in the front lawn of Cleveland, but it is up, it looks beautiful, and we ordered a 6x10 flag for that pole, and that arrived today. So once they figure out how the new system works, we will have a flag, a brand new flag flying at Cleveland, and we're excited about that. Each September, we do a lot of training on safety aspects with students. We provide them quality education with that. A big thank you to our FIED teachers at Cleveland who provide bus safety during one of the FIED classes during September. We have already conducted several safety drills at Cleveland and also Prairie Wetlands Learning Center with the Prairie Science classes. So they know where our rally points are, where we meet, line up, take attendance, and teachers do a great job of just walking through that and showing them first of all, and then we do a practice drill, and now we've already done a second round of those. So students become familiar with those procedures in the event that there is an emergency. This year, the fire safety poster contest is focusing on safety in the kitchen. The theme is Cooking Safety Begins With You. So students will have an opportunity to draw a poster with this theme on it, and then our fire department collects those and posts those, hangs up the posters during one of their, is it a spaghetti feed they do, I believe? I think, yeah. So students, and then they come around and award students with awards recognizing their fire safety posters and take them out for lunch with a ride on the fire truck. So that's a really big deal for these kids. And then also, as Mr. Colbeck mentioned, this year too with the new legislation, we're providing safety awareness at crosswalks as well as bike safety. And at Cleveland, we're turning to our FIED teachers to deliver that during one of the FIED classes. Also during September, one of the universal screenings takes place. So this year we have our RTI interventionists conducting the math and reading screenings. So Pam Anderson is our reading interventionist, and she is listening to every single student in the building do the reading screening with her. And then thank you very much for approving the purchase of M-Class. That is going to be the tool that she will use that next round, and it'll be the same passages, but speed up the process for that data collection. And then that too just is another important data point that we really take a close look at to monitor student progress over the course of the year. And our teachers are doing the STAR reading and math assessments in their classrooms, and we have that stepped out for the whole school year. So there's a nice window of time between each of those measures, but that's our means for doing that frequent progress monitoring, and again, monitoring student progress, catching those who might not be making adequate progress to get up to reading grade level. That is all in the works here. The parking lot at Prairie Wetlands Learning Center has been redesigned for added safety, and that's been under construction for a period of time now. We have the east side of the lot, there's a loop for busing, but for buses, and that's strictly for buses and not parent drop-off. That just adds a big, huge element of safety. There's a median between the east lot that is now done and usable for the buses, and the west lot that will be is redesigned dimension-wise, and also will have some different parking. And that's a lot that the parents who choose to drop their students off will use the west lot, drop them off, and be able to loop around. So the entrance and exit of that west lot will be widened and allow for cars to meet on it safely. But a big thank you to the families who used the fairground parking lot during open house night, and there were U.S. Fish and Wildlife staff directing families down to the education wing. So it was really an inconvenience, but with all road construction projects, that temporary inconvenience is worth it in the end once the finished project is there. So we're counting on the same thing. The buildings at Prairie Wetlands Learning Center have also been being re-sided, so teachers and students have been working around that construction as well, but they've been doing a great job of moving that along, worked on the weekend as much as they could, I believe, with the rain that we had, but in the end, it will be a good project. Our character education here at the beginning of the year is focusing on what is character and what is good character, and that good character involves making good choices, interacting positively with others, and being kind. This week, Miss Yagi is getting around to all of the classrooms and doing a character education lesson with them, and I believe it's a dice, they're going to roll some dice and choose from whatever number they land on. There's a question that goes along with kind of getting to know each other in the classroom and being respectful of our similarities and differences. And our third grade classes visited the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center last week, and I believe they have a couple visits this week. This year, classes are going one at a time instead of two at a time, so that Joe Fritz, the naturalist at Prairie, can work with each class as they come out. They have been busy harvesting seeds in the fall now, and then next spring they will be able to replant those seeds at the Prairie and be part of the Prairie Restoration Project. And then our fourth grade classes, last year during their music class, they were introduced to the instruments of the orchestra, got to hear them talk about their part in making up the orchestra, which is leading up to Orchestra Roundup, which is going on at Cleveland right now. So the building, the neighborhood around Cleveland was just packed with cars when I left there. Their first concert is on December 21st, which is only 3 months away, and 10 large group rehearsals. So we're always excited to hear the progress that they make between now and then, and they are always excited about getting started. So their first large group rehearsal will be this coming Thursday morning. And with that, I would entertain any questions.
The STAR testing takes place twice a year, right? Or 3?
The universal screening takes place 3 times a year, fall, in January, and then in May. The STAR testing is done 5 or 6 times throughout the year, and the teachers do the STAR testing. The STAR testing is on the computer, the student laptops in the classroom. And that is like I'm going to say 30 to 40 minute assessment each time.
Any other questions for Cindy?
I just want to make a comment. We can talk about this in our facilities, because we've talked about it before. If we have a new elementary out there sometime across from Prairie Wetlands, that the speed limit out there is what, 55 or 60 right now? We talked about being a school zone. It could be a school zone right now. We have kids in school at Prairie Wetlands, and so I think that's something that we could look at, especially when the buses are coming and going. 60 is way too fast for trucks and cars to be going by, and I think that it would be a really good safety thing if we could. In Minnesota, it says if the speed limit of the state highway is 55, you can just down as low as 25 in school zone, no lower.
Maybe a dumb question. What came first? Was it the bypass or the Prairie Wetlands Learning Center?
Bypass.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, just a thought.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, then we have our middle school principal, Ivan Hurst.
Good evening.
Good evening.
We've had a really good start to the school year. It's rewarding to see hard work and planning pay off. We've modified our existing schedule from last year to this year. We put in an advisory time in our 7th and 8th grade. We've given some significant attention to our MTSS, our RTI scheduling and processes. So I'm feeling pretty good about all those areas. Probably the trickiest area is modifying the schedule. Was we cut our passing time from 5 minutes to 4 minutes, and everyone's feeling that. even the faculty gets a little tricky. So, the middle school office had to make some adjustments as well. We have welcomed Lynn Johnson into the office, middle school office, as well as the district truancy and Indian Ed liaison. So we've had to give her some on-the-job training. And then Miss Molly's been on leave, so then we've had 2 people filling in there, Julie Nelson and Kim Olson. So we've been making do, and we just tell them to do as much as they can do. That's what's gonna be good enough. So I'm really thankful for their work. Kim and Julie and Lynn really just jumping in, doing what needs to be done. That's a big deal, as we have a large number of students that need, and parents that need support. So thank you to all 3 of them, as well as Mr. Steinbrenner and all the counselors that really made the schedule and the start really positive. As you know, we're in the middle of homecoming week, so we have a little extra energy in the building. Today, dress up day today was Christmas in September, because why not? A pretty good amount of dressing up. I should have wore a red tie. I would have been right in it with them. We're also promoting door decorating in the middle school as a way to build community and build, team building, teamwork building skills, communication, deciding on a result. So that's a fun little thing that we threw out to groups. Now we just have to find a winner. So we'll get some pictures on Facebook for that. Tinny and Scott, I think, both talked about bus safety and bike and pedestrian safety. Bus safety has been done in the middle school in the social studies classes for a long time. We added bike safety, which we'll have our fire department do right out here in the bus lot. We've closed that off for the next couple afternoons, so 5th and 6th graders can ride safely next to Mr. Drake's vehicle. Okay, mine's out there too, so we're all aware. So we're going to block off that so they have a nice big open space to ride. I don't think we have any more than about 50 students at the most out there at one time, so that should be manageable. Angela Harstead really took the lead on that and just did it. If I need something done, Angela is the gal that you give a call to, so I really appreciate her. Pedestrian safety, we've put that into advisory this year. The law says K through 8, so we're teaching our 5, 6, 7, 8 students how to walk across the street safely. So thank you for everyone for doing one more thing, because it's just one more thing, isn't it? Middle school PLCs this year will focus on identifying and developing common assessments, and then overall just finishing the curriculum mapping process. We started all of this work last year with guaranteed and supporting standards. And once the curriculum mapping process is complete, we'll be able to communicate in each grade level, department, and just district-wide the following. What do we want our students to know? How will we know they are learning? How will we respond if they're not learning? How will we respond if they already know it? Isn't that what school sounds like right there? Yeah, so we'll have a database of all of that information. We onboarded 14 partial and new teachers in the middle school. Man, that would have been really great. And we had really great mentors. The mentor program is really well ran here, the best one that I've come across. And the people supporting, the mentors supporting our new teachers went really well. But it would be nice to have that district document to say, hey, this is what we do here. And we're getting closer. During in-service week, we trained our 7th and 8th grade advisors on our advisory expectations. And in a nutshell, we're really focused on grade checks, the character education lessons, and then team building opportunities like door decorating. 8th grade did a relay race on the football field on Friday. Just giving them opportunities. So we're looking at grades, character, and team building opportunities, all in the realm of relationship building. That's why our groups got a little bigger than we wanted them to. So we'll work on that for next year. But we're really focused on relationships and then someone checking on their grades right there in school. Because you can bluff your way through 1 or 2 times, but 3 and 4, I mean, you only can have so many grandmas. Is something that sticks with me. We also trained our 5th and 6th grade homeroom teachers as well as the advisors on the second step curriculum. We did that on in-service week. Mr. Steinberg and I developed a calendar of the lessons and the dates that those lessons are to be delivered, and we've communicated that to all of our teachers. The first unit of lessons in second step is positive mindset and setting achievable goals. I like it. Yeah. 5th and 6th grade they are also screening for the RTI process, like Ms. Runn spoke about, so that's this week. So we're screening all students. We have our RTI groups set and made, but we've left a little extra room for new students and students that maybe would go up or down in that process. One of the additional things that we did when we rewrote our MTSS grant. And then STAR testing, I'll just one piggyback onto that. If we think of the MCAs as the school grade, then STAR reading is the individual grade and growth. So that's how I always think about STAR testing or NWEA, growth versus school grade. So, yeah. Questions?
Any questions for Ivan?
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, then we'll move on to Superintendent Drake.
Well, good evening. A few thank yous. First of all, this was a really nice shot of Fergus Home and Hardware with the grills and Scott accepting them. So we live in a very gracious community and supportive of education, so much appreciated. And the next slide is another example of that with all the work that went on from Mr. Lemke to the 544 Foundation to a host of volunteers, many of whom are our students. And so pulling off just a really, really nice community event. I know they sold out of Taco in a Bag again. So that was 500 units that went out the door, and the community shows out and really supports the foundation. And the principals remarked that we simply had kids all over outside, whether they were at the playground or inside the stadium or running back and forth between the two. It was a beautiful evening for one thing, but we certainly had tons of families and people enjoying the evening and supporting our school district. Speaking of supporting our school district, this homecoming is Minnesota Motor Night, and they provide tremendous support to us in sponsoring these events on behalf of the school and the community. So it's free admission to the game, free hot dogs from 5 until game time. And then just a note with the dance and everything, the game is 6 o'clock instead of the usual time. So I want people to be aware of that. This is the, on the high school side, the homecoming itinerary this week, culminating, we have coronation tonight, but the parade, which is always a big hit on Friday afternoon, and then the homecoming football game against Perham, and then finishing off the week with the homecoming dance. Found this on a Facebook post, but it's just speaks to the changes that have been made over the last few years in our food service department. And so it's pretty amazing the variety of meals that our students get to choose from in this building over the course of the week. So appreciate all the hard work that's gone into that. And then not only the variety, but there's been a really intentional process that's gone on the last couple of years to purchase fewer and fewer pre-processed foods and be doing stuff more with natural foods and creating more homemade dishes. Some congratulatory notes. It's Hall of Fame weekend, so our thanks to the 544 Foundation and the school for kind of co-hosting this event. The inductees will typically are present at the game on Friday night, and then the induction takes place Saturday. There is a meal beforehand that people should have signed up for if they were interested, but the actual induction in the auditorium is free and open to the public, so if people want to attend that, it's a great evening. Congratulations to this year's homecoming royalty, and so I hope they all enjoy the week. As part of the festivities, they do get out and visit some nursing homes and stuff, so they make some community connections, and much appreciated. Just to call out publicly, we do need substitutes. Today was a perfect example. We were short special ed paraprofessionals, And that has a lot of repercussions that happens when we're short-staffed. It means a lot of additional work on our case managers and Nancy Reard trying to piece together a puzzle as best we can to get through a school day and provide those needed services to our students. So if, for our listeners out there, if you're looking for some part-time employment and enjoy working with kids, please reach out to the district. We have a number of needs on the substitute front. This promises to be a really nice community program, the Dallas Brass. They will be doing some work with our high school music program in advance of the concert, and our students will also be performing as part of that concert as well. So a nice opportunity to get out. That's Friday, October 13th at 7 o'clock. Yes, yep, Kennedy Auditorium. We have KSS has taken care of pictures, but we still have a number of picture days coming up. So that's a big process to get through each year. I love this photo. This is taken from the prairie with kids. I like bugs for one thing, I guess, so that's part of it. But we've got a nice emerald colored beetle up in the upper left. And for those of you that don't like spiders, and I live with a couple of those people in my household, but I just want to note that spider is taking care of a mosquito in the lower right-hand corner. So they do good work, and we should not be squashing spiders when we see them out and about. So with that, we'll turn it over to any questions that you might have.
Any questions for Superintendent Drake?
All right, thank you.
Thanks. All right, so we'll move on to our general consent items. We have the minutes from our September 11th, 2023 regular school board meeting. And then we'll move to the bills.
Yes. Natalie and I met with Renee before the meeting today and reviewed the bills. And if you didn't have a chance to look in the packet this week, those of you who will be coming and doing bills over the next couple of months will see quite a change. And it'll be every time, I imagine.
Yep.
And so instead of just having the one line item, we have all of the line items, the detail that go with those checks. So we went through and reviewed a lot of different things. It's many, many more pages. Again, because we do this twice a month now, it's not as many bills to approve, but we have a lot of detail. So some of the bigger ones, of course, Otter Tail coaches, $95,000, that's a normal one. We have notable, it's only $1,600, but I think it's the last payment on the chiller to ATSNR, so that was kind of nice to see. About $15,000 is that time of year that went to uniforms, and what's interesting about the detail is it tells us, it's tennis balls, it's water bottles, it's cross-country supplies, it's jerseys for Nike jerseys, it's tells you all of that's in here now. So it's tremendous amount of detail, and for those of us who like to wade through that stuff, it's kind of interesting. For instance, Cassette Electric, it's a $10,000 bill, but they worked on the KSS parking lot. They had stuff going in Cleveland, the old computer lab, the auditorium, room 2017 in this building, the high school office, and so on. Another one here, $10,750 for the paging system, $28,000 for Ida Bailey to do the audit. Head Rush Learning, I think that's ALC, if I remember right, for $6,500 for curriculum. So we went through just everything that we could see here. The one that we questioned was kind of weird. We saw that we had to pay the Otter Tail County Treasurer $8,500 for property taxes. I'm like, well, we don't pay property taxes. But this is the assessment that we have to pay for the solid waste, our portion of solid waste. So that is our property tax each year. It comes in as if it is property tax. And every taxpayer has a solid waste assessment. And so ours was $8,500, and I think, is that the half a year? Probably.
This was half, yeah.
Yep, okay. Partnered consultants, I think we talked about that one, they're $4,500. That was kind of it, again, because we're doing, we had $10,000 for the new sound system with Tech Check. And I think we had a presentation on that from Mike Donahoe a while back, so. Again, not that many bills, but 42 pages, 41 pages of detail, so lots of good stuff, and I think as we do bills in the future, it's going to be easier to come up with good questions beforehand, because now we have that detail.
So is that version, that's not in our packet this time around?
I think it was, wasn't it?
I didn't publish it in the, I've only been providing them at
The summary?
at the meetings where you approve bills.
Oh, okay. Can we get that in the packet, like the more detailed version? That would be handy.
It should be fine.
Hmm? Yeah, okay.
Really good process change.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Yeah. All right, that's all I have.
Thank you. And then we'll move on to personnel.
Good evening, everyone. Just a few items tonight. Certified staff retirement, Carrie Brownlee, special ed teacher with IQ Academy, effective October 16th, and she's been on a leave up until this point, and now she will retire. Support staff resignations, Scott Samuelson, grounds custodian, and Jamie Sem, paraeducator. Jamie will be switching from the health office at Cleveland School over to Kennedy Secondary School, and taking the LPN position left vacant by Lori Jensen here a little bit, October 12th. Other support staff hires, Jennifer Odegaard and Ruby Cook, both are special ed paraprofessionals here at Kennedy. Melissa Butler, ECFE classroom aide. And that's this at Kennedy, that's incorrect, that's at Lincoln. And then, of course, we just talked about Jamie. Brittany Van Satten, she is also going to be a special ed paraprofessional here at Kennedy Secondary School. And so I would request all of the personnel to be approved by the board tonight. And I guess there's an appointing, if you want to go on to that one.
Yep. And then there's appointing Lynn Pinky Valdez and Rachel Larson to a 2-year term for fiscal year 24 and 25 on the district's DACRAC committee. So can I get a motion to approve our general consent items?
So moved.
And a second.
Second?
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. Consent items are approved. We don't have any old business, so we'll move to new business. Our first item is 2023-2024 fundraiser requests. Can I get a motion to approve those requests?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second that.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I am going to be vocal about this as well. For years I have commented behind the scenes that it just seems incorrect to co-opt the entire 5th and 6th grade to sell Otter coupon books for basketball.
I agree with you on that.
Amen.
Absolutely.
Amen. And so,
Never understood that.
this is me being vocal so that we can hopefully see a change on that. I think the kids involved in the activities should do the fundraisers the kids get. In 5th and 6th grade, have a nice competition in the classroom to do this, and I think it's, puts a lot of pressure on the kids, and I don't think they know why they're doing it. I feel as though it's a bit of manipulation on our part, so just wanted to note that I am hopeful maybe the activities club could chime in there too, or the activities committee, I mean.
I agree with you on that, Melanie. When I first got on the board, that was one of the few things that I was like, I don't understand why. When it's a basketball, I didn't even realize it was a basketball program, honestly, until I got on the board.
I consistently have parents talking to me about it, that they dislike it.
Well, and you just look at the math on the board, on the fundraising request, more than half of the proceeds goes to basketball and backcourt club, and the other part goes to what says supplies and stuff for the middle school in Cleveland, so do we do anything with that, or we just approve it and move on and try to tackle it next year, or do we separate it out, or?
Send it to the activities committee and we'll
Address
talk
that.
about it.
Should I
Yeah,
amend my
there-
motion to take that off of the approval?
Well, you know, they're already selling it, so get.
It's already happening, so it's gotta be
Yeah,
followed.
so, I mean,
Alright.
so there, as a practical matter, we could approve it all tonight, but I would, I'm bringing it forward and hopefully it can be addressed before it comes back to the table again.
Yeah.
All right. So all in favor of the 2023-24 fundraiser request, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say nay. We are approved for this year. Then we'll move on to, this is another part of the Lincoln project, an agreement between TMI Systems Corporation, the contractor, R.A. Morton and Associates LLC construction manager, and Zerberg Architects, the architect, and the Fergus Falls Public Schools for the Phase 2 Lincoln project, 6B architectural woodwork, L&M. Can I get a motion to approve that agreement?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. That agreement is approved. Then we'll move on to our Fergus Falls Public Schools Community Education Driver's Education Program. Driver's Education Student Fee Adjustment to $325, effective spring session 2024. And the Driver's Education Instructor's Wage Adjustment is $26 per hour, effective October 1st, 2023. And then a $29 per hour, effective June 1st, 2024. Can I get a motion to approve those price adjustments?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
Second. Any discussion on that?
Is there assistance for students that might need it, that they're to pay that fee? Is it like an activity fee where
No, you gotta pay.
No.
you gotta pay the whole?
Yeah.
There's not a sliding scale.
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Those adjustments are approved. Then we have the proposed levy for taxes payable 2024, set at the maximum amount. Public informational meeting, truth and taxation hearing regarding proposed property taxes and budget is scheduled for 6 p.m. on Monday, December 11th, 2023, in the Otter Community Room at Kennedy Secondary School during the school board meeting. Can I get a motion to approve those proposed levy taxes?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion on that?
I can give you a little bit of background information if you'd like. So from the levy report, and also just from information I've heard overall, across several districts throughout Minnesota, property values went up about 20%. In our district, property values went up about 21%. What that means for us is when we have higher property values or wealth, it means that more of our funding will actually come from the levy and less from aid. So our levy can increase even if we don't change anything on our end. So tonight, yes, we'd want to authorize the maximum levy allowable. At this point, it is $8,459,502, and that was included in the packet. So that represents about a 10.27% increase from last year's levy. Breaking it down by fund, the general fund would increase by about 5.7%. That includes $393,592 that would be taken out of the general fund to pay for the capital facilities bond payment for the debt service that we, for the new debt that we just issued. For community ed, the levy is actually expected to decrease by approximately 12.45%. Just want to note that this doesn't necessarily mean that we'll receive less funding for community ed. The legislature actually changed the equalization rate for the levy for community ed, so our funding will consist of less levy but more aid. So for this upcoming year, we'll actually receive $48,480 in aid, whereas it was zero for this year. Debt service, we're looking at an increase of about 19.7% with the new Lincoln Phase 2 bond payments included in it. We're also retaining some of our debt excess that we have. $185,520 will be used for the interest payment for the new bond issue. So overall, the increase is about 10.27%, as I mentioned earlier. But since our property values increased overall, the actual tax rate has stayed fairly constant or the same as last year. It's at about 18.5%. If anyone has any questions, I can certainly try and answer.
Questions for Renee? All right, all in in favor of the proposed levy taxes, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. Those are approved, the proposal. And then we have a resolution on retirement of Carrie Gronley. Whereas Carrie Gronley began her employment with the Fergus Falls Public Schools in August 1992, and whereas Carrie has been a valued employee with the Fergus Falls Public Schools for the past 31 years, and whereas Carrie has been a dedicated special education teacher for the district, and now therefore be it resolved by the Fergus Falls School Board to thank Carrie Gronley for her 31 years of service to the Fergus Falls Public Schools. Could someone offer that resolution, move for its adoption?
I'll offer resolution, move for its adoption.
And a second.
I'll second.
And clerk, will you take roll?
Yes. Natalie Knudsen.
Yes.
Kirby Anderson.
Yes.
Melanie Cole.
Yes.
Matthew Limp.
Yes.
Stephen Vigasa.
Yes.
Missy Hermes, yes. The resolution is adopted.
Thank you. And then our last item is the school athletic training and sports medicine services agreement between Fergus Falls School District and ISD 544 and Lake Region Healthcare Corporation effective August 1st, 2023 through June 30th, 2024. Make a motion to approve that agreement.
So moved.
In a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. So then our next regular school board meeting is Monday, October 9th, 2023 at 5:15 here in the Otter Community Room. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved.
In a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, say nay. We are approved. Are adjourned.
Approved.